How does dark comedy subvert horror tropes? Have you ever laughed at something that was supposed to scare you? Dark comedy does just that by twisting horror tropes in unexpected ways. Let's break down how this unique blend of humor and horror works. Horror films often relying on familiar elements like the final girl, unstoppable villains, and haunted houses. These are the conventions that audiences expect. Dark comedy takes these elements and flips them on their heads. Instead of a terrifying monster, you might find a monster that is just plain silly or incompetent. This shift challenges the seriousness of horror and invites laughter instead of fear. One way dark comedy plays with expectations is by setting up classic horror scenarios, only to deliver a punchline. Imagine a scene where a character is being chased by a monster, but instead of being terrifying, the monster is fumbling and clumsy. This twist not only surprises the audience but also makes them question the seriousness of the horror setup. Another method is humanizing villains. Instead of showing them as pure evil, dark comedy often portrays them as flawed or even relatable. Picture a monster struggling with everyday tasks like grocery shopping or dealing with awkward social situations. This approach deflates their menace and adds a layer of humor. Dark comedy also loves to parody classic horror clichés. The final girl might be overly confident but hilariously clumsy, while the evil hillbillies could be depicted as harmless and misunderstood. By poking fun at these predictable tropes, dark comedy invites viewers to laugh at the formulaic nature of horror. Juxtaposing horror with mundane activities is another clever technique. Imagine a zombie attack happening while characters are arguing about trivial matters. This contrast amplifies the horror while creating humor, blending the terrifying with the everyday. Self-awareness is key in many dark comedies. These films often acknowledge horror clichés and make jokes about them. This meta humor breaks the fourth wall, allowing the audience to feel like they are in on the joke. Modern horror films like Cabin in the Woods and Tucker and Dale vs. Evil exemplify this subversion. They turn familiar horror setups inside out, making the supposed villains sympathetic or the horror scenarios absurdly comedic. Dark comedy can also relieve tension after intense scenes. By balancing scares with laughter, it keeps the audience engaged without overwhelming them. This approach broadens the appeal of horror films, attracting viewers who enjoy humor alongside suspense. In summary, dark comedy subverts horror tropes by twisting familiar elements into sources of humor, humanizing monsters, parodying clichés, and blending horror with everyday life. This refreshing take makes horror films more unpredictable and entertaining.